Welcome everybody, my sports chat. Michigan had a bye week last week, so it's hate week. It's on. It is Michigan versus Michigan State. It seems cut and dry. You got a 7-0 versus what are they? 4-3, 3-4. What are they?
3-4.
3-4. All right. Now, yeah, there it is. Fifth in the Big Ten East right now. Seems cut and dry. Who wants to tell me why it's not going to be cut and dry? Tom, you want to go?
Sure, not a problem. I think it'll be a challenge. I think we will probably play very, very well. I have a large amount of confidence in this game that I don't always have.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the last 2 years, the last 7 games this year, I talked about this multiple podcasts ago about how we seem calmer.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of been your theme.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the calmness comes from the way the offense plays. They're so consistent. I mean, they've had some stupid penalties in the last 2 weeks, but prior to that, in that Iowa game, I don't know if they had a penalty. And you if you look at that, the calmness in this and the determination in this. I heard something very interesting from one of the guys on the Big Ten Network today who stated that this Michigan team is a lot like last year's. The culture has changed. It's one thing for a coach or a position coach to stand up in front of the masses and tell these guys, you got to get up for this game. You got to work on this. You got to work on that. It's another thing when the players are saying it. And when the players are saying it, you got them. And the players are saying it. And you don't have any guys here that are not playing because, oh, by the way, I might have a hangnail. You guys got the guys are just
peppers.
Yeah, well, he's not the only one. I mean, you think of some of the receivers we had last year that decided we're not going to play in big games. But I think this is a very calm team. They're not out of control. I think they will have their scripted offense in place. That's not to say that they won't make mistakes and that Sparty won't have some success. I just think we will have a lot more success at most opportunities. So, and I just see the chaos that is Michigan State football. I've watched all their games, and they do not look calm. They do not look consistent. They look helter-skelter. And on some levels, they remind me a little of Indiana, where, they come out and they throw the ball every 4 seconds. Okay, well, you know what happens when that happens. Number one, the other team gets the ball back and it can run 12-minute drives on you. And if anyone thinks that tomorrow we're going to come out and wing the ball around, or Saturday we're going to wing the ball around, I don't see that at all. It wouldn't surprise me if JJ has less than maybe 175 yards passing. And I bet he doesn't throw many balls more than 20 yards down the field. I think we're going to try and ground and pound them and just stay calm through the entire game and in total control. And don't be surprised if you see a 35 to 37 minute time of possession.
All right, Pat, what are your thoughts heading into it?
I have the confidence. I do. I mean, you're 7-0. You've played outstanding all season. Pretty much, the challenges, every challenge they've had, they've overcome, whether it be bad first half or whatever, come out in a second. But I just worry about these games, and obviously Tucker's gotten us 2 years in a row. So whatever potion he's throwing together or whatever remedy he's got that he's feeding his guys during this week, the last 2 years obviously has gone against us. And so the confidence level I have of saying we're going to win, like we talk 53-0, 53-3, 50, just blowing them off the floor, would love it. But the hesitancy of the 0-2 record so far the last 2 years, Tucker hasn't lost to us. We need to take that guy down. We need to take him out. We're the ones that gave him the raise, and that's what upsets me. But I think we can easily take that from him if we go out there and do the job.
I I like Tom's thought on the calmness. And again, like we said, and like you said, Tom, you've been kind of hitting that point every week,
Yeah,
correctly, in my opinion. And I saw it, and we brought it up last week with Penn State, where they could have panicked a little bit after only being up 2 points at halftime,
yeah,
and they just, that they went down after being down 17-16, and just did their offense, and they didn't have to change anything, and they knew that, and they were comfortable with it, and they were calm with it, and that was great.
Mhm.
And that's where this comes into play. You're playing a team that got it. They just have some supernatural ability to get up for Michigan, and not like overexcited, like say like a Marcus Hall for OSU. Remember that gets booted out in one of the first plays of the game
yeah,
and does the double bird on the way out.
yeah,
Which is great rivalry stuff, but bad for his team.
yeah.
He at Michigan State, they seem to just they play their best game of the year every year against Michigan. And
Mhm.
it's amazing that they can do that without tilting.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing difference this year is that last year, what were they? They might have been 6-1 or maybe a loss, or
No,
the
they had
records
a
were
lot.
the
No,
records
they're
were the
undefeated.
records were the records were equal last year, or
Yep.
whatever, in there and blew that game. I mean, this year the only difference from that last year is that they're 3-4 and they looked pathetic at times, and played horribly. And I know last week they secured a victory against Wisconsin, and I don't know how
They
they did. And then
yeah.
yeah, it's another
One
thing
of
that makes
the To go to Tom's point again, one of the things that I noticed watching their games is what I expected this year. I expected a like Brady to Moss type season out of Thorne and Jaden
Reed.
Reed,
Oh,
and they seem to be. I mean, they're both great players for college
really are.
players. I think Jaden's going to be great in the pros,
Yeah,
um, but they should be just chewing it up together, and there seems to be some disconnect. I remember
yeah,
watching a game a couple weeks ago, and I was thinking it was they seemed more like Smoker and Charles Rogers. Remember when there was like the rumor of a little
Yeah.
nose candy going on with that
And we
team?
found out it was true. Yeah.
And
That, that
so
Wisconsin game, Reed and Thorne hooked up in the Wisconsin game. The parts I saw of it, but
mhm.
every time I see him, I look up, it was like Reed was making a catch and running. I'm like, son of a bitch, here he comes now. He's gonna decide to play. He hadn't
Right.
heard. I haven't heard. I mean, I don't think was he hurt? What? I
Yeah,
don't
he was
know.
hurt a couple games.
I mean, all of a
Probably
sudden,
slowed a
all of a sudden,
couple.
man, he's got a week off, so that makes it a little leery. But I mean, the defense, Michigan's defense, the pressure, if we can get through Michigan State's offensive line. I mean, like I say, I envision a, a blowout. I would love it, and that's not just saying it because I'm a Michigan guy.
I think I think Michigan State's biggest problem outside of their defensive backs is the fact they don't run the ball well. I mean, these
Right.
two young running backs that they have, or transfers in, are a lot like the Penn State running backs. I don't think that they're going to have a whole lot of success. No one's had a lot of success running the ball on us. And if we can have 4 down linemen and our 2 linebackers kind of stay back and keep the quarterback in the pocket, they have no ability to have long success on us. They might get one. Penn State got one, and it was a great catch. But
Yeah,
to get one, if they get 2, I don't have a problem. Just don't have dumbass, pass interference calls. If we have pass interference calls like we've had in the past against Michigan State, I'm gonna have a real problem. But I just don't
but
see that offense being that good. And we've all seen this guy. I mean, Peyton Thorne reminds me a lot of Lewerke. You get too much pressure on him, and all of a sudden he is peeing his pants, and he is not capable of playing. Look what
yeah,
happened last week, 2 weeks ago against Penn State. You got a 6th-year senior who he got hit a number of times, but all of a sudden it's like, we're down by a bunch. I'm done. We'll put in the backup.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
saw him on
Yeah.
the sideline. He didn't. He looked like he could have played. I don't know. Maybe he had a concussion or something. But he comes back this past week and plays like he should be drafted.
Right.
So I don't know, I just think our defense is very underrated by us as fans. I
Uh,
think coaches know what they have. I don't have any problem with it. So
Yeah, even us talking about it on this podcast. My sports chat every week.
every week,
Um,
There.
they even when we talk, we're probably 85% on offense and 15% of our time is spent on defense.
yep.
So, and
Mhm.
one of the things again, um, where you mentioned culture earlier, um, everyone was talking about, oh, Michigan's back, and keep in mind, I've always related Michigan, Texas, and Georgia as being almost identical schools in
Mhm.
different parts of the country. Um, I don't see, if you don't understand that, we can explain it. I can explain it some other time. Um, but they're very, very similar in many, many ways. Georgia's big now, but the joke is Texas, because every year they're going, Texas is back. And then, they lose to somebody that they shouldn't lose to, and they lose 5 games or 7 games or 4 games, and they go through the same thing. So anyway, everyone talked about Michigan being back last year, and it's great. I mean, it's the first domino to fall or the first couple, I'll give it, happened last year. But you got to be able to maintain that culture.
Yeah.
And there's a confidence now that we can win that game, and we can beat Ohio State. Um, and you see the calmness which comes with confidence.
Mhm.
And but what I was hoping it wasn't is I was hoping it was a culture thing and not just like a, Aiden Hutchinson thing.
Yeah.
Like they talked about his
I guess
um,
being
you know,
coach.
again, it's kind of like I made a joke about Peppers earlier, but it's one of those things that they always say, and Pat, you can speak to this, from your extensive coaching, you know, ability and history and um, experience. But one of the things they always said is it's always a bad thing when your best player isn't your hardest working player.
Right.
Because then you might get some leadership or lack of leadership where people sit there and think, hey, I can do what he does, which isn't working, as hard as you can. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's where I think Peppers failed as a Michigan Wolverine.
Mhm.
There, I said it. Um, One of the most talented guys the last, since Woodson.
Yeah.
And dude, I get the fuck out, dude.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't show me anything.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
than he was extremely athletic, but get out. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I was hoping it wasn't the case with Hutchinson, and it's not. It does seem to be a culture. The
Yeah.
defense is outstanding, even without,
Yeah.
2 first-round edge players.
Mhm.
Like I talked about, I think last week in our show, is it resembles a Harbaugh team, whether it was the Niners or the Stanford teams. I
Mhm.
think he's built that here at Michigan right now, and he took Stanford to where they were. He took the Niners from where they were to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, I just think it's a trademark of that team right now, and it took a few years, but finally we're seeing the reaping the benefits of that. That's for sure.
Right.
Well, I think there's a lot of leaders on this team, and I think it shows a ton of character when you have 6 captains, if I remember correctly. There's 6 captains this year.
I don't know.
I think
I'm not sure.
and
I know there's
one
four,
of
but
them, one of them loses his job very, very early in the season. And to be
all is
honest,
getting back to.
I'm not a monster fan of how he has handled that. You watch him in the pregame, and he's not even standing near the quarterbacks. So that's telling you there's not a whole lot of fun going on in that quarterback room. But you do see all the other quarterbacks,
Coach said the other day there's no update on him, so
and there is no update.
I don't know. They asked him at his Monday
Yeah, that's
presser
interesting.
Well, I
the
think
update on all, but he didn't give the update on.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like a
No
3-week
update.
thing.
yeah, the handwriting is extremely on the wall.
Yeah, I agreed.
Yeah, I saw him in sweatpants, standing at the 50-yard line, and the quarterbacks were down at the 10. I mean, he wasn't part of anything, and they've worked their way around it as a team extremely well, and there hasn't been any fracturing. So give the other captains, the Mozzie Smiths and everybody else that's a captain, a lot of credit for how they've handled that. And it's amazing. And by the way, isn't Eric All a captain too? Wasn't he a captain?
Yeah, I think he was.
All's a captain from the
Yeah.
hospital down there in Florida right now.
So we're basically down 2 captains, and that says an awful lot about the people that aren't captains. It really
Yeah.
does. Really,
Yeah.
it really does.
No, I mean, you're down 2 captains. You're down a starting middle linebacker. You're down a starting tackle.
Yeah. And a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you're starting tight end, starting quarterback. Yeah, I mean, that just shows the talent is being developed well. And for one game, we
Depth.
have a coach.
A lot of depth.
Yeah, exactly.
This team, I think, is extremely tight.
Yeah.
I think they're with it. They're together. They want to play for each other. They want to win, and they are taking this game very personal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you
All
can
right.
tell by the responses. You think of Harbaugh back when he guaranteed the victory when he played at Ohio State, and his players are almost with that. They're speaking confidently, and he's not holding them back. He says everybody wants this game. Everybody wants to win this game, which is no brainer. I mean, everybody. That's a blanket statement right there.
Yeah.
I heard from some Michigan State insiders, a guy that I've known through my son for a while. He mentioned to me last weekend that the biggest problem that Mel Tucker had, and this was before the Wisconsin game, is he has about 55 new people on the roster this year from last year. Some are walk-ons, ton of transfers, and a ton of freshmen. And these guys are not melded together in any way, shape, or form. They're just not. And there's a lot of infighting going on. You got these guys transferring and putting expectations on the table when they come in as juniors to play and be something and do something, and they're not getting a chance. That's what he has heard inside the Michigan State locker room. It doesn't surprise me. I don't know how you.
No. You'd think that's expected.
Yeah.
It worked the first year for him, or whatever it was, whenever he brought in all those guys. But it's a tough situation to keep bringing guys in.
Yeah, you'd expect that to be the case.
Yeah, you can bring in 1 or 2. Like we have 1 on offense and 1 on defense, and that's kind of it. They're key players, but they're more complementary players to the kids that have been in the program for a long time.
I've heard a lot of week kids moving out, not getting out of their commitments already. So a lot of them, I don't know if it's major players or what. 4 stars.
Yep.
Star guys have already decommitted and they're opening up their eligibility again. So
I think we're gonna see that on every team.
Oh yeah.
Where guys are, they look at the roster and they just don't see as much of a chance after transferring once, and okay, they transfer again.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So what happens? Michigan's favored by 21. Pat, what happens? Give me a score.
I don't know what the last.
Give me something memorable that's going to happen.
I don't know what the spread was last year. Maybe 7. Usually, it's not anything more than 7.
Yeah.
Usually it's right around the 7 to 10 point game. I mean, open up 21, 22 points favorites. Obviously, the Vegas people know what they're talking about. But this past weekend, Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 13-point favorites against Carolina, and they lost outright. So hopefully we don't fall into that situation. Michigan, obviously home game. Obviously Tampa was on the road, but Michigan at home, a night crowd. It's going to be rocking, I think, in there. We just can't give them any hope. We can't give them any big plays. We can't, let the advantage of the home field, go away. That's for sure. But they wanted to make it a night game, so they better take advantage of that night game. Yeah. That's all I got to say. But I'm thinking we still average our 41. We've been averaging 41 points a game, and giving up 12. So I'd be surprised if they get anything more than that. So, maybe 41 to 10. If all the statistics play out right, I'd be more than happy to walk out of that stadium with a 41 to 10 win. But anything that big, I think the passing game, like last year, we had almost 400 yards passing on them.
Right.
Whether or not we attack with that same approach this year, I don't know. but we did have a huge number passing wise last year. So whether or not we try to attack that way again this year, time will tell. But looking forward to another big game and anxious to see what kind of uniforms we come out with.
I tell you guys, I think this game comes down to offensive line, defensive line again. I'm looking here. Blake Corum has 901 rushing yards. I'm going to make a prediction that it's 1,000 by the time this game is done. He might have a lot of carries, but he's going to end up doing something big. And you know, the great thing is we got another running back who showed that he can be extremely dynamic.
Yeah.
And I really think this offensive line has really come together. It's really good. I have not heard anything about Trente Jones and if his high ankle sprain is healed enough for him to play. But if he can play, then we have 6 great offensive linemen.
Right.
Yeah.
And give it up to the offensive line and our tight ends. Holy moly. Those tight ends are blocking their ass off. Go back and watch that Penn State game and watch some of the blocks by the tight ends. You'll be amazed. Yeah. Also, one other thing I want to say, our special teams, in spite of the fact that we did not have to punt last week, our special teams are ranked sky high. Michigan State's are not. Their best player is just like Iowa, their punter. It's just like the Lions. You know, the best punter in the league always plays for the Lions because he gets the most opportunities. This punter for Michigan State is very good. Their field goal kicker is terrible. So I think we have a huge advantage on special teams if we don't do anything dumb. I think we win this game handily. I just don't see us getting to 40. You know, I think we're going to be a little more conservative, unfortunately, play a little bit a little safer. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with punting from the 50-yard line on 4th and 3. I don't have a problem with that. Don't give them anything. No freebies. Like a pick six off a helmet. No freebies.
we need to.
But just throwing that out there.
We need to know where Reed
like that
is.
could ever happen.
Every offensive set, we need to know where Reed is, and we need to cover that guy and not let him be a factor in this game.
All right. So let me just.
Your turn.
Let me just riff on some of the things you guys have said. All right. Don't give him the game. Like maybe Demetrius Brown throwing 7 interceptions.
Yeah, right.
Forgetting that there's a middle linebacker in zone and John Miller taking 4 of those. How about making sure a wideout doesn't beat us like in 2020 with Ricky White? All right. He either catches 13 passes for close to 200 yards, or he gets pass interference on him.
Yeah.
All right. So now one of the things, like, you know, Pat's saying, don't give them big plays, don't give them and Tom, you said don't, no pass interference. You got Jamon Green, who's seems to be starting to hang on some receivers. He's been called a couple times in the last couple games. So let's see something there. Like, okay, so we have a talent discrepancy. So can they? You need something weird to keep them in the game. Well, how about that monsoon? Probably what 2018 maybe, was it?
Yeah.
So you have that.
I didn't realize that was a night game.
Yeah, it was.
This is the actual second night game between these two.
Right.
I thought there was only one. This was the only one.
No, but the game, like Pat, you talk about the crowd. Well, that monsoon took the crowd out of it.
Yeah, you got to be running for
okay. So that's gone. Again, going back to Jaden Reed beating you. How about Plaxico, 255 yards? Yeah. He wins that game. And the point is, where I'm going is, you got Demetrius, you got Desmond tripping in the end zone. Not tripping in the end zone, being tripped in the end zone and not called. You got Clockgate, Spartan Bob, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. Hey, there it is. And then oh God, and then he goes, he's having trouble with the punt. Or he mishandled the punt, whatever that is. And then last year, that game by all measurables was a Michigan 17-point win,
Yeah.
Oh,
and they lose. There's just
that's
stuff that happens in this series.
there's
And what happens is Michigan State fans, it's the joke of, the Michigan fan versus a puppy. Well, Michigan or the puppy and stops whining after a while.
Yep.
And, but I swear almost every other than during those D'Antonio Primo years, D'Antonio, like, and even then they crushed Michigan. There wasn't like a rivalry close game.
no,
So
that's it.
anyway,
Yeah.
in those games, they should have won by 21. They won by 41.
Yeah.
All right. So my mathematical mind says 38-13. My Michigan State voodoo over Michigan says Michigan 17, Michigan State 10.
Not a chance.
Hmm.
Not a chance. We will score
Yeah.
over 30. We'll score over 30. Their defense is too bad. And by the way, Peyton Thorne has, I just looked it up, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Yeah.
7 picks.
Yeah.
And how good was Rocky Lombardi before the game in
Part of
2020?
the problem is you can't go back and say, when we had Rick Leach, we did fine. That's last year. That's the year before. It's the year before.
There's a pattern, dude. There's a
year-
pattern.
Henny and Hart went through them like nothing. I mean, oh my gosh, what's it going to be this year, guys? We're going to take the Bear next week and be like, we didn't see that coming.
Week when we meet, we're going
Let's
to
hope.
for the first 2 minutes of our broadcast, we're not going to say anything. We're just going to sit here with smiles on our face.
Perfect.
I would love that. What is it?
No.
I saw a stat:
Oh.
10 out of the last 14 Spartans have won.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like saying,
I'm hoping
last 10.
I'm hoping it's
It's this year.
the Michigan victory, baby.
All right. So
I know.
last year we got over the Ohio State hump.
Yeah.
For God's sake, and days, let's
For
get over the
God's
Michigan
sake.
State hump.
Revenge game.
I mean, there's always that guy, Ricky freaking White, Rocky freaking Lombardi.
Oh god.
How does that happen? I mean, Plaxico, I get that. That guy was a great pro even, but damn, people, yikes.
I think our talent level is far beyond theirs, and I mean far beyond theirs. And again, don't screw it up, and we are fine. You don't have to be overly aggressive in this game. Just do what you do well. And what did we have against Penn State's number 5 defense in the country? What did we have?
Yeah. I know.
I'm going to tell you what. I'll be shocked if we're not deep into the threes. Shocked.
Like Harbaugh said the other day, throw the records out. This ball game, rivalry, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Hear that one too. Let's hope.
I don't want to see us. I don't want to see us have a running back run into the line and do the flea flicker. We don't need that.
Right.
I want to see us do what we did against Iowa in the championship game last year. Throw the ball out to Edwards and he throws a touchdown. You know what? We don't need to do that.
Yeah.
We
Impose our will.
didn't need to run that dumb play against Penn State. We didn't need to run that shovel pass. We didn't need that. Just do what we do best, and I don't care if we get 4 yards on every carry. I think
perfect.
Some of that.
I'll take
the crap out of them.
Yeah.
All
right. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming on, and go blue. My sports chat. Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
All right.